Hi, this is Julian from Pro Tools Expert, and in the A-Z of UAD, we've reached the letter T, which is for Tonelux Tilt. The Tonelux Tilt EQ is, as the name suggests, a tilt EQ. Tilt EQs are really nice because they keep you on that kind of real top-level, broad, big picture kind of perspective, rather than worrying about surgical EQ. It's just, do I want it to sound toppier or bottomier or correspondingly anywhere in between? So, first off, what we have is the tilt knob, which is really the middle of what this is all about. If you turn clockwise, you can introduce up to 6 dB of tilt in favour of the top end. As you can see on the red line there, when you tilt towards the top, the bottom comes down again, and if you turn the other way, the opposite happens. So the bottom end gets lifted and the top end gets cut in a pretty much straight across the spectrum way. Listening to it, I'd say the centre frequency, I expected it to be around a K. It's actually a bit lower than that. I think it's somewhere around kind of 600 Hertz. We've also got a pair of filters, a high and low pass filter, which by default is 6 dB per octave. We can switch in 12 dB per octaves as an alternative. And if we look over here, we have the gain knob, which is used to compensate for any perceived loss of level. We'll have a bit more to say about that. Lastly, polarity invert. So let's have a listen on some acoustic guitars with nothing in. And I think you can hear it does exactly what you'd expect. And it does it really unobtrusively. It keeps the internal balance of the instrument, the harmonic spread of the instrument, in proportion with itself whilst doing what you want. Do I want more bottom, less bottom, etc. The filters are great. Returning to the tilt control, there is this down here, which I haven't mentioned yet, and what it is you can switch out between a tilt behaviour, where when you, for example, turn clockwise, you're boosting the top end and reducing the bottom end underneath that crossover frequency between the two. If you switch into the loud position, what it does is it behaves like this EQ trace here. It behaves like a loudness button on an old hi-fi or something, where turning it clockwise simultaneously boosts the top and the bottom end, whereas turning it the other way cuts the top and the bottom end, resulting in a kind of mid-range forward kind of sound. We'll just have a quick listen to that. Dangerous, that boost in that position, because it is quite addictive. What I'm going to do is I'm going to dial in a little bit of that and then show how you can combine this with the filters to kind of mitigate the harm you can do by going too far. So here we go. We'll put it in the... That's a kind of more of everything setting. And then if I were to maybe switch in 12 dB per octave, bring that in, actually I'll go with 6 and bring that up. It's going to be around about here, I'd say. That's kind of calming the thump there. And I'll see if I want to maybe tame a little bit of that hyped top end by bringing this down. Maybe, I don't know, about... And achieving a really nice result with the minimum of effort spent. There are two versions of this plugin. I haven't mentioned that up until now, but there is the Tonelux Tilt and there's the Tonelux Tilt Live. The difference between the two is in the gain knob. Actually, there is another difference, and that's that the Tonelux Tilt models the transformer found on the hardware unit, whereas the Tonelux Tilt Live doesn't do that, to reduce DSP load and presumably make things a little bit more live sound friendly. But the biggest issue facing this kind of EQ is that you can increase level, particularly at the bottom end when you're doing a bottom end tilt. You can increase the level in an unhelpful way, especially if you're dealing with monitors particularly monitors through speaker wedges. So here what you can do is you can impose a boost ceiling, which limits the amount of boost. And I've looked at it on a spectrum analyzer, and it is quite clever what it seems to do. It does keep the perceived level increase under control as a kind of auto gain makeup kind of setup. And very useful in those kinds of environments. So what do I think of it? Well, I think it's brilliant. It does a simple job and it does it really well, and it's surprisingly flexible the more time you spend with it, combining the tilt EQ, the two different modes of the tilt EQ with the filters. You can achieve an awful lot, and I have found that by doing this I haven't needed more sophisticated EQs in a lot of cases. So yeah, I think have a go with Tilt EQ. It's a great way of working, and it makes you wonder exactly what you've been doing with all these minute EQ moves all the time, when actually they're not that necessary and sometimes can do more harm than good. So check it out, and that's me. I've been Julian. I'll see you next time.